I would say I discovered my passion for running before I discovered my passion for faith. So I was running before I became spiritual or religious, and I remember enjoying doing long distance running at school. So most people would really love doing 100 meters, 200 meters. I found I was only getting started after I'd run 400 meters. So I think it started from a very early age. I think very similar to faith, I think my passion and enthusiasm for exercise and running increases and decreases. I'm in one of those phases where it has increased again, and a lot of that's to do not so much with divine intervention, but more so what the doctors told me. And quite often it's in the doctor's surgery that you do discover a renewed kind of sense of spirituality and a sense to kind of get yourself fit. I'm certainly not the person on the panel who's probably the most competitive runner. I run because I enjoy running. I think I will talk about that a bit later. But for me, it's just about kind of giving me that space to think, that space to get away from things, deal with various emotions. So I can run when I'm happy, I can run when I'm angry, I can run when I need to get away from things, I can run when I need to make a decision about something. And for me, it's whether I'm running on my own or running with other members of the family or friends, it's a very kind of personal journey. So even if you're running in a crowd, you're still on your own. And I can relate that back to actually doing my pilgrimage a few years ago in Mecca, when you're on the plains of Arafat and you're with 2 million other Muslims, and it's the most lonely place in the world. You're surrounded by humanity, but the only thing that can absolutely consumes you is that one relationship you're having or the conversation you're having with God at that particular time. And I feel the same way when I'm running. I'm very rarely focused on the road. I kind of know the routes that I'm running, and the number of times I've been on a run and somebody's kind of texted me or tweeted me afterwards saying we waved at you and you completely ignored us is too much to remember. And I think it just kind of reminds me actually when I am running, even though I'm looking at my surroundings, I'm not actually taking much in. So I think it's very much something which takes me away from my day-to-day kind of being, and lets me just kind of reconnect with the things that are particularly important to me at the time. And for me, like I said, I think there's a really big link between spirituality, which I'll go into later, but also in terms of general matters of health.
Thank you. My name's Bob May. I'm a vicar in Shepherd's Bush. I've been there 8 years and running roughly 20 miles a week. That makes a total of over 6,000 miles that I've run, which is one end of America across coast and back. Chuck in half a dozen marathons and you've got me running. There's 3 parts to my spirituality of running. First part is celebration. A year ago I was one of the runners with the Olympic flame. I ran carrying the Olympic flame and celebrated with the world. And it was a truly joyful occasion. The second part of my spirituality of running is subversion. When we went to run the Palestinian marathon that I hope you're all going to be signing up for, there's nowhere that someone from Palestine can go for 26 miles without going through a checkpoint. So to run 26 miles was the perfect political protest. I run through the streets at 6 in the morning on a winter's day, and the streets belong to me. It's an ultimate egalitarian sport. All you need is a pair of trainers, you don't need a gym fee, you can run it at any age. So celebration, subversion, and finally of course sacrifice. The Bible is full of images of running as spiritual discipline, and I'm just lucky that's been my hobby. That's lucky that's been my hobby. Great celebration, subversion, sacrifice. That's my spirituality running, Jane.
Thank you. I'm Jenny Baker. My first one I did in my early 30s. I did a 5k in the local park, and I didn't manage to run it all because I set off far too fast, didn't pace myself, all that kind of thing. I had to walk a bit of it. Shortly after that, the place where I worked, they wanted people to do the London Triathlon, and I said I'd do it. And I went home and told my husband, and he laughed at me because my own experience of running had been this 5k, and so that spurred me on to do the London Triathlon, and I've ended triathlons for 10 years. And so more recently, and never fast, but I really enjoyed the discipline of preparing for something. And more recently, I guess the last 5 years, I've just been focused on running and cycling. I was never very good at swimming, so I've kind of given up that aspect of it. But I run probably 25 miles or so a week. I've done 3 marathons. I still have a dream of getting a sub-4 marathon. Whether that will ever happen, I don't know. But for me, running has been partly about exploring what I can do physically, but then that has huge repercussions for other areas of my life. And I think I grew up quite a fearful person. I was incredibly shy as a child and a teenager, and just quite a small world that I grew up in. And for me, running and running in different places, going to Palestine and running the marathon has been about expanding my horizons physically, but that has just had big implications for me for other things. And running is my headspace. If I don't run, I get twitchy, and I feel that I suffer in terms of well-being. So I love running.
I'm Sky Drover. I'm 17, so youngest here. I am a triathlete, so as Jenny was saying, swimming, cycling and running. And matter of fact, I got into it via Jenny in a way. My parents are good friends with Johnny and Jenny, and we went round for dinner one day, and Jenny was talking about her triathlon, and my dad said, "Oh, I'll have a go at that." So a year or so later, I'm there watching him complete his first triathlon at Windsor, and on the way home, sparked up the question, "Oh, do you reckon they do any kids races? Can I have a go?" And at the age of 8, did my first triathlon. Got disqualified for taking the complete wrong course. It was a pretty horrible experience in some ways, because I was crying the whole way home. But my dad said to me, "You know what, Sky? You can come away and never do one again, or you can go back and show them what you can really do." And so that was exactly what I did. And haven't really looked back since. And I guess for me, because I got into sport so young, I didn't really have a full understanding of my spirituality at that age. But I think in a lot of ways God has used my sport and my running and the day in, day out training to teach me about Him and teach me about, and to help me grow in my relationship with Him. And there's just so many parallels that I find between the physical discipline of me getting up and running and just being in a relationship with God. And it's been one of the things that's really helped me grow as a Christian and really helped me find God in a way. So